It's always been my safe space. Especially middle school, that was one of the roughest times. I always just go to the band hall because that's where I felt safe to create my emotions through my horn. It doesn't judge me.
I've thought about combining music and neuroscience before, since those are my main two passions. And I think it's opened my eyes to see that music and neuroscience have a lot more in common than many people think.
The goal is not to have a luxurious lifestyle and a successful lifestyle. The goal is to have a purpose, and the goal is to give something to the world that is of value to the world.
From the Top connects music to big ideas and societal issues. In 2025, From the Top focused on music, neuroscience, and wellness, and spent a week in residence at USC's Brain and Creativity Institute in Los Angeles. Our goal was to explore the connections between music and the brain with curious young musicians and our scientific partners at USC. 11 From the Top fellows met for the first time and recorded for the NPR broadcast. They presented their research projects to 100 of their peers during a youth symposium and participated in a brain imaging project to contribute to research.
I'm Peter Dugan. I'm the host of From the Top, and I love this job. I get to meet the next generation of great musicians from all around the country.
I'm Gretchen Nielsen. I'm Executive Director of From the Top. We live in a world where there are no boundaries. Music is the same way. It connects to everything. I'm really hopeful that the work that we do at From the Top with the Brain and Creativity Institute and through our young musicians will have a long-lasting impact, and that it'll be a part of an ecosystem of work that allows our entire society to think differently.
How music can affect the brain is really important. It might change some minds about the importance of music education.
The first impression I have of the campus is it's so big. There's a whole section dedicated to just neuroscience. It kind of inspired me, and I was like, maybe I want to be here in the future.
The USC Brain and Creativity Institute is a hidden gem tucked away on the campus of USC. But once you're inside those doors, it's a world of creativity. It's where scientific exploration meets musical excellence and performance.
The first thing you see is huge brain, portraits. There's music playing in the elevators. It's whoa, this is a symbolic representation of the bridging between the mind and music.
I think it was around morning time I received the email. The subject line was From the Top Special Opportunity. And my dad was honestly pretty pessimistic about my chances of getting on the show, so it felt like I was sort of proving him wrong. I get to do an MRI later this afternoon, so it'll be really cool to see my brain, see what music has done to it.
I have a really lovely connection to the Brain and Creativity Institute, and it's really through Dr. Asal Habibi.
Growing up, I was a classically trained pianist. I always valued the role of music in my life, in terms of making friends and having a community, but also having a space to regulate my emotions, to be by myself. I love listening to classical music, and From the Top has been one of my favorite programs for many years. I've always been so inspired and impressed by the young musicians they have on the program, both in terms of their communication skills and their journey.
She reached out to me years ago.
Gretchen Nielsen and I talked a lot about our work, and at some point we realized that we have so much overlap and really this shared interest of access to music for everybody. When I went to college, I sat through a class called Brain and Language. That was the first time I was learning about how language is processed in the brain, but it also lit up a light in my brain. Music for me was a language.
My science journey really started in my freshman year of high school. I was introduced to Rett syndrome, which is a terrible disease that affects mainly girls. Patients lose their ability to sort of sense pitches. I try to sort of construct a certain sequence of DNA, which I plan to introduce into patients to try to mitigate the mutation that causes Rett syndrome. I co-filed a patent with Brigham and Women's Hospital at Harvard Medical School with this piece of technology. And so that really confirmed that maybe there is a way to combine both science and music. Engaging with the other fellows has been sort of like a very unique experience because it's very rare to see someone that shares basically the exact same passions as you.
Tell me about the euphonium.
The physical mechanics of playing the euphonium is first you have to do a lot of lip buzzing, producing what we call an embouchure. And an embouchure allows us to basically buzz and to produce sound through the instrument. My old band director chose the instrument for me because I reminded her of her late husband that passed away. I was like, oh my gosh, it sounds nice. I mean, euphonium means beautiful sound. Through music, I'm able to, show my emotions and express my true self. It lets me be who I am. And so playing music is just enlightening for me. I just feel so awesome, while playing.
I love the trombone just as a concept, which I know is a bit of a funny answer, because the trombone's a bit of a funny instrument.
Of course, you can go wah wah.
You can enhance it with a plunger. What makes it the most unique is that slide gives it almost a human voice quality to it. I mean, it was made to sound like the voice of God. It was the lower voice in church choirs back in its very early versions as a sackbut.
The sackbut was the historical precursor of the trombone?
It looks like a trombone, except the slide is moved with a handle, and the bell has a significantly smaller flare. That slide quality means I can kind of scoop into notes a little bit. I can have more of a vocal inflection going between large jumps rather than just the press of a button. This is my final send-off for this piece. I've been working on it for over a year now, performing it for my college auditions. It's been with me through my most formative musical experiences, and I'm so grateful to be doing it in this way.
I'm really hopeful that the work that we do at From the Top with the Brain and Creativity Institute and through our young musicians will have a part of an ecosystem of work that allows our entire society to think differently about the power of music to heal us, to connect us.
I feel like with music, I'm really conscious about how my body feels, and then also all my senses are completely activated when I play. My project is on how music can affect free radical concentrations in the body through reducing oxidative stress. So free radicals are a type of volatile, unstable electron that's formed in your body. If oxidative stress decreases when you listen to music, then you can infer that free radical concentrations decrease too. Maybe performing increases stress, but other than that, I think especially listening to music is just really relaxing for a lot of people. It doesn't have to be classical music.
Music, this thing that you say can help relieve stress, can also itself be a source of that stress in the first place. Is that ever a paradox?
It definitely is a paradox, but I think when you love something so much, that stress that you feel is not particularly negative in a way. I found that from personal observations, music has always bolstered my mental health and improved my mood. Every time I have a bad day or something doesn't pan out the way I want it, it's always my trusty saxophone that helps me feel better. When Botza wrote this piece, he actually commemorated it to Marcel Mule, who was a saxophone professor at Paris Conservatory.
Interesting.
Basically the father of saxophone. I kind of picture French hills and that countryside of Europe. everyone like glorifies success, and it should be something obviously as musicians we strive for to get better at our craft every day. But one challenge of that is that once you get to a certain level, there's societal expectations and expectations from yourself to keep yourself at that level and to not strive for anything less. Sometimes I feel like, you know, I get mad at myself or I punish myself for having bad days, when in reality, stepping out and looking at it from a bigger context, you know, bad days are what every musician has, and it shouldn't be something that we demonize. This was my first time ever professionally recording in a setting, so just seeing like all the microphones, the flurry of cameras spinning around me, that's like an experience that I will cherish and remember, because I know there's not many events that can facilitate that type of experience.
In my chamber group, the Seal Quartet, it's not a fire name. We're playing a piece by Caroline Shaw on tracts, and it's very meditative. There's a lot of pauses and resting, and I feel like in music in general, that pause is a part of the music.
I am very open. I try to experiment a lot and take a lot of steps out of my comfort zone every day. I think my personality naturally helps in that as well.
Especially in classical music, where too often it's about doing what you were supposed to do.
When we have a goal that we set, if we get accepted, we tend to, our self-esteem goes up, and vice versa. It's very normal. I struggle with this a lot. Recently, I've been trying to look at it at a different angle and thinking of every opportunity out there on stage or in the audition room to, again, experiment and try something past Rachel wouldn't have tried. It's so valuable for everyone to kind of fall in love with the process of failing. You need that inner confidence within you.
Are there other parts in your life where this sort of on the edge mentality shows up?
Roller coasters, love.
Beginners, they feel like, oh, this music, we have to play it perfectly. It's about us. But in reality, the music is not just about you. It's about how the audience interprets how you play.
I really like Kulau's melodies for the flute. They're like really pleasant and they really embody the bird. I like how we're just able to sound like two birds flying around, just having fun together and playing together.
We definitely love to explore the different projects that either argue that nature is more important or nurture is more important.
The notion between nature versus nurture is that, does a person, are they operating based off of their biological, like genetic makeup? Or is it nurture, where your environment, does that play any role in who you are and your personality?
This piece really spoke to me, especially at that time in my life. I really resonate with the idea of not being able to find your home, where you are not. That is the happiness. It's a little nihilistic, isn't it?
It is,
you know,
yeah.
a little nihilistic. Unbearably beautiful.
That's a good way of putting it.
It just pulls at your heartstrings. No, it doesn't pull it reaches into your rib cage and rips out your heart.
Yeah.
Stage fright has affected my performance, and this was a few years back when I didn't really know how to deal with it. In a summer camp, I was so incredibly nervous that I actually threw up off stage. That was one of the times where I sort of decided, okay, I'm going to learn how to deal with this, because if I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, I need to learn how to deal with that in the moment. The goal, I think, is to channel your fight or flight instinct into focused performance adrenaline.
We launched a brain imaging project. Our musicians who recorded for the program were able to have their brain scanned while they were here, as did Peter Dugan, our host.
Although I was a little bit nervous about getting into the MRI machine, the staff here assured me that everything was going to go smoothly, as long as I remembered to remove my wedding ring.
Going into the scanning room was actually a surreal experience. It was so exciting seeing all the different technologies.
Never in my life had I thought I would need to be getting an MRI, but immersive, hands-on experience in a field like this is really fascinating, especially because I haven't gotten much experience before.
Being in that tight space, it was certainly something else.
When you're able to attach something like science, you open up opportunity, continuing that thread of curiosity.
We're gonna now play you a song and let us know if the volume is okay. Let us know if it's too soft or too loud, all right?
It hadn't really occurred to me that when I looked at an image of my brain, I'd be looking at the part of me that makes me me. It had all been happening under the hood. It was a much more emotional experience than I was expecting it to be.
I was joking with my parents that like after the scan we might find like a smiley face shaped like hole in my brain.
The thing that moves me the most about this science is not the answers, it's the mystery.
This is meant to be a project that will go way into the future and will allow the Institute to study brains of adolescent musicians. It's become a really seminal study for so many people looking at music and the brain and what it can produce. When we put the word out about learning more about music, the brain, and wellness, we received an overwhelming response very quickly, and we filled the hall at the Brain and Creativity Institute with 100 young musicians.
There's something about live performance that cannot be replicated, and especially to see it in the excitement of these young artists, the way for a teenager, feeling like you're all in it together. There's a buzz around the whole night. Hello, I'm Peter Dugan. I'm the host of From the Top. Thank you all so much for being here for this very exciting, unprecedented evening of music and the brain. This group of 11 musicians really came together and bonded. There's something about a live performance that galvanizes that effect. I'm so proud of how they performed. They all brought it on stage.
I felt like I was channeling the energy of that stage of Peter Dugan and the other students. My personal favorite was hearing the Judo by Ravel being played on piano because I, one, love Ravel and I also love that piece.
Music is understandable and it's so mysterious, right? And it's so ethereal. When you're able to attach something like science, there's this kind of beautiful vortex.
These presentations you watched today, they were working on it until last night and refining it, and they're committed to making things better.
I'm looking forward to meeting figureheads in music therapy and having conversations with them about how can music therapy be expanded to different populations, to different communities.
Neurosurgery is something that I want to pursue in the future.
Diving into this project, how music affects like different parts of the brain or different diseases. I think it's opened like my eyes to see that like music and neuroscience have a lot more in common than I or many people think.
When I was young, there was a choice that you could be a scientist or an artist. And this field of music, neuroscience, and psychology has really grown to be both.
Two seemingly distinct areas have so much overlap.
Happiness as a fleeting, sort of temporary feeling, it's not what's going to make us content. We need a purpose that is of value to the world.
I would love to incorporate into my performances the idea of music therapy and just healing, music as a form of healing.
I think on the outside we were pretty serene, but on the inside it was definitely electrifying. And of course, the performance, it was...
No words can describe it.
On a larger societal level, to understand how music can affect the brain, it might change some minds about the importance of music education. Learning to play an instrument or being able to sing in your choir or act in your school play, it's going to give you an opportunity to lead a more beautiful life. That much I think we all know. But now there's this other element. It's going to give you the ability to heal others and to heal yourself. What if we can all think of music and the arts in that way? That's big. I think that's really major. Just to know that there are people out there in this next generation who want to understand the human condition, it gives me a lot of hope, and I think it can give all of us hope to know that that generation is out there just beginning to find their power.